some things are better than others. I mean, obviously, like I said, there's 400,000, nearly 400,000 plant species in the world that we know of. Nearly every single one of those will kill you or make you extremely sick. So those are obviously worse, but then there's other ones that, we aren't as bad that you can sort of eat straight. There's some that we eat that we have to actually treat in certain ways. Like you have to ferment it. Fermentation process we've been using for thousands of years to lower the toxic load and open up the bioavailability of many of the nutrients. And so that's very important. That's what ruminant animals like cow, bison, and sheep do, is they have a foregut that ferments that plant material first, and then they absorb now much more nutritious feed. And also they break down fiber into fat and proteins. That's a big thing that people don't realize as well, that cows and herbivores, they eat grass and plants, but what they absorb is fat and protein. And that's what all animals need, is fat and protein. So that's a major one, that plants don't really have fat and protein. Humans aren't able to convert plant tissue into animal tissue or into fat and protein. So it's very difficult to extract the nutrients you need. Some other plants that we eat, but bitter cassava, that will kill you. It has so much cyanide in it if you eat it straight. So they have to have special chemical treatments and different traditional ways of treating it that lower that cyanide load. Things like corn used to never be eaten straight. It was never eaten on the cob. The people in Mesoamerica, they would prepare it. It was like a 7-stage treatment process called nixtamalization, where they would crush it up, expose it to other chemicals like lye and other things, and this would lower the toxic load and bring out more available nutrients. So through technology, we've been able to figure out how to more safely eat plants in times of privation, but it's not ever going to be optimal, not in our lifetime anyway. Maybe in hundreds of thousands of years if we go in that direction. But it's through technology we've been able to make more plants safer to eat. Like beans have tons of lectins. If you ate like raw red kidney beans, it could kill you. As little as 5 red kidney beans eaten uncooked or undercooked have put people in the hospital, and that's according to the WHO. There's a whole page on the WHO, and the WHO is no friend to the meat diet, but they have a whole page about called natural toxins in food. And so it's all the different foods that we eat and all the different toxins that exist in them, and not a single mention of any toxin in meat. So it's all in plants or in mushrooms or in algae, which can then get into seafood and things like that, but it's the algae that's poisonous. And so, yes, some things are better than others, but all plants have toxins, and all plants have some ability to defend themselves. And so if you are eating those plants, some people are going to have a bit more defenses against it. People from European descent or certain parts of Asia or North Africa, parts of Mesoamerica, they would have been exposed to certain plants for several thousand years. But while they would have built up some defenses towards these toxins, it's certainly not complete. And so that's why you see disparities, these health outcomes. So people of European descent have certain rate of diabetes and heart disease and cancer, but people from other ethnic backgrounds like Native Americans, it's far higher rates of these chronic diseases, diabetes, and so forth, because they were hunter-gatherers up until 150 years ago. And then we wiped out the bison population, especially in Central North America. That was the mainstay of their diet and nutrition, and now they don't have it anymore. It was just this hard line push over into post-agricultural society. And in the fossil record, everywhere you look and when you look, when a population went from pre-agricultural to a post-agricultural society, there was a sharp decline in the height, brain size, and health of those skeletons. They usually drop by about 5 or 6 inches. The brain size dropped by 11% for men and 17% for women. That's immediate. That doesn't take hundreds of years or thousands of years. That was overnight, every time in every place that people moved to agriculture, regardless of the type of crop they moved to. They also had signs of poor wound healing, poor dentition, smaller jaws, crooked teeth, which is not genetic. That's actually a nutritional deficiency that's been proven by Weston A. Price, and also in dentistry journals now, they talk about how this is not genetic, this is nutritional deficiencies that specifically coming from more of the fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin K2 that only exists in animal fat, doesn't exist in plants. And so you're not eating enough fatty meat, you're going to get crooked teeth. And so in those populations, when you see that sharp decline in health, we saw that, and we're seeing that in real time with the Native Americans, the Native Australians. We're seeing this right now with the Maasai. There's certain tribes that are transitioning, starting to eat more post-agricultural food. There's Coca-Cola trucks coming into these remote villages. Sometimes the only way you can get mail or get supplies shipped in are on the Coca-Cola trucks, are the only ones that actually are having, roots in there. So it's pretty crazy, but they're starting to get modern diseases, start getting these diseases of civilization, which is what anthropologists call this. When you transition from pre-agriculture to post-agriculture, they go from having certain health issues like accidents, injuries, infectious disease, to then getting the majority of the issues are these diseases of civilization, which are these chronic diseases or really toxicities and malnutrition. And that's what the Maasai are seeing right now. We're seeing that in real time. So I think the best thing to do is just eat meat. Eat what we've been eating for millions of years, and you're just eating a high-fat meat and water diet. That's the best, and especially ruminant meat, because like I said, the ruminant animals are able to ferment and break down those toxins better. So even when they're being fed grain and things that they're not supposed to eat, they're better able to break that down and lower the toxic load so it doesn't get into the meat. So that's better for most people. But really, it's just eat any meat that you enjoy, that makes you feel the best, and that you can afford and have access to. And
What
the most
about
important
fish?
fish, definitely. Yeah. Any animal, any animal that we
No
would get.
dairy, though.
Dairy is a bit of a gray area. Usually people do great with butter, but dairy has a lot of really good nutrients, but it doesn't have complete nutrition. You do need other things as well. But it's also a very big difference between raw dairy and pasteurized dairy. But it also has something called casomorphins, which are chemicals that actually trigger a hunger response and want, the little baby mammal wants to drink more and more and more. So it compels them and encourages them to eat more and to grow faster. So it can actually cause us to overeat as well. Hey guys, just want to take a second to thank our sponsor at Carnivore Bar. I don't promote many products because honestly, all you need to be healthy is to just eat meat. For those times that you're out hiking, road tripping, or stuck at work and you want a nutritious snack that is just meat, fat, and salt if you want it, the Carnivore Bar is a great option. So I like this product not because it's just pure meat, but also because I want the carnivore market to thrive as well. And the more we support meat-only products, the more meat-only products there will be available in the mainstream. So if this sounds like something you'd like to get behind, check it out using my discount code Anthony to get 10% off, which also applies to subscriptions, giving you 25% off total. All right, thanks guys. So this is actually why farmers used skim milk, which was a byproduct of a waste product really of the butter and cream industry, that they would give that to pigs. And they found that the combination of grains and skim milk, the combination of that would cause them to overeat more than each one individually. Carbohydrates will make you overeat because it raises your insulin, and that blocks leptin, which is our satiety hormone, so we don't know when we're done eating, and drops your blood sugar, so then you feel tired and you want to eat again. But also these casomorphins, which are in milk, trigger this eat response. And so you just eat more and more and more. And so when people are trying to lose weight, especially, dairy is one of those things that it's a good idea to cut out because it's a classic weight loss stall. And it's one of those things that you can keep eating more and more. If you're just eating what you're designed to eat, like every animal on earth, your internal mechanisms and signals should tell you how much to eat and when to stop. And if you're eating carbohydrates, it'll change your hunger signals, like I mentioned. And if you're eating dairy, it'll also do that with the casomorphine. So if you're only eating meat, you can listen to your hunger signals. If you add in dairy, unfortunately, you might overeat, and often people do. And then the carbohydrates and milk, you really want to avoid for that same reason that you want to avoid the grains, because it raises insulin, drops your blood sugar, blocks leptin, all these sorts of things will cause you to overeat. And it also, when your insulin is up, your metabolism is down. Insulin forces energy into cells. It doesn't allow it to come out of cells. And so if your insulin gets high enough, you cannot burn fat. And so you want to keep that insulin down at a normal level. More importantly, besides just locking in your fat cells, insulin affects over 100 different mechanisms in your body, and your physiology, and your metabolism. So it's really important to keep that at normal levels. And when you elevate it with carbohydrates, then all of these other mechanisms are out of balance. This is actually the stem of a lot of chronic diseases that we talk about, which again, they're not diseases. It's just you're poisoning yourself and your body mechanics aren't working properly. So I think one of the most important things is what not to eat as opposed to what to eat. So what to eat, you just eat meat until it stops tasting good. And you do that, at least once a day. And if you're trying to put on weight, try to do it twice a day. But then what not to eat. So my hard rule for myself is no plants or mushrooms, no sugar or any sweeteners, and nothing artificial. And that will go for sauces, seasonings, and drinks as well. So that's if you want to do it really, really strict and really pure. And that is where I see, people get the best results. But, if you want to add in something, you can do that. The idea behind this sort of diet is an elimination diet. And so you're eliminating out all these possible harms. And then you can add some back in. If you think that you might do well with, a bit of spinach or lettuce or a tomato or something like that, give it 30 days, give it 90 days, get it out of your system, see how you feel, and then add it back in and see how you feel. I guarantee you will see a difference. And I don't like that difference, so I don't touch this stuff. Certain things are worse. The different things that we have to chemically prepare, obviously they have more toxins in them. And depending on how you prepare them, you're going to get different amounts of that toxic load out of there. Nightshades are definitely ones to avoid. So that's potatoes, tomatoes, eggplants, and capsicums, peppers. I would avoid anything with carbohydrates, any grains, seeds, nuts, beans, legumes, because those are a plant's baby. A seed is a plant's baby, and everything protects its babies more than anything. And so that's where you typically find the highest concentration of toxins. If you're going to have fruit, people say, well, plant wants you to eat fruit because it wants to move your seed. Well, it wants something to eat fruit, not necessarily you. A lot of these fruits and berries have co-evolved with other birds and animals that are specially designed and adapted to eat those fruits. A cassowary bird is a tropical bird. They eat 150 different fruits and berries. They're frugivores. They only eat fruits and berries. And every single one of those fruits will kill you. Every single one of those fruits will kill every single animal except the cassowary bird, because those seeds won't germinate unless they go through the digestive tract of the cassowary bird. And so it's very important for the plant to be very attractive to the cassowary bird and very detrimental to anything else trying to eat it, because that is its baby. That's the next generation. And so if a cassowary bird leaves an area or dies out, those plants die out. So it's very important that nothing else eats those fruit. And but there's so much more. I mean, we eat grapes, we eat avocados. We say, oh, but those are good for you, right? Those aren't bad. Well, they'll kill cats and dogs, right? So obviously there are toxins in grapes and in avocados. And in fact, there are far more toxins when the fruit is green, because obviously the seed's not ready yet. And so it doesn't want anything eating it. So it has far more toxins. And then as it ripens, the plant actually pulls out the toxins. If you pick it green and let it ripen in a box, those toxins just stay there. They don't just break down and degrade. It has to be pulled out by the plant. And so studies have shown, at least in tomatoes, when you pick them green, they don't actually detoxify in the box. They have the same toxic load when they're green as when they're ripe. And the traditional way of making pasta sauce was you vine ripen them, you dip them in boiling water to blanch them, take off the skin. That's barrier protection. That's where more of the toxins are. And you take the seeds out. And then you boil the living hell out of what's remaining to try to denature a lot of these lectins and toxins that are in there. And now we're telling people, no, you want to eat them fresh and green is fine. That was the traditional folk wisdom, was that green tomatoes are poisonous. I was told that when I was a kid. And now everyone's like, oh, no, it's fine. That's just a wives' tale, raw food, vegan all the way. It's like, no. And when was the last time you got an avocado that was picked ripe at the store? It's never going to happen. We're being told to eat 5 pieces of fruit a day. And so how do you do that year round? You ship it from the equator. You ship it from other countries that are in season, where normally we would only eat fruit locally in season. They're available for a couple weeks, and that's it. And then you don't have them. You're not getting these in northern Norway in December. I'm sorry. Like, it's just not, it's not natural for you to be eating 5 kiwis a day and a mango. That doesn't make any sense. And in order to get those kiwis and mangoes, up to Norway without spoiling, they have to be picked green. So now you're having 4 or 5 times the number of toxins that are in there, and a whole bunch of sugar that we, bioengineered these things to have, which are not natural either.
It's actually okay because you're going to be seeing the contrast now on how good you feel versus how bad you feel when you're eating these things that you don't want, and that's going to reinforce this. You're going to be like, wow, I actually do feel so much better, and when I eat just a bit of rice, I actually feel like crap for 4 days. So I really don't want that.